Hello viewers, it's Madam at IS Academy and today we are going to see international organizations. The international organizations which we are going to discuss today is World Bank, IMF and World Trade Organization. These are the organizations which we are going to discuss today. These are the organizations which are important for economy. In economy perspective, these are the things which are very important. Apart from this economy point of view, we have many other organizations which we should discuss in international relation. Now we are going to see these three organizations. So these three organizations, the history, the origin of these three organizations lies in Bretton Woods Conference. There is a place called as Bretton Woods in US, and in this place a conference held in 1944, and it is also called as Bretton Woods Conference is also called as UN Monetary and Financial Conference. UN Monetary and Financial Conference was held in 1944 in a place called Bretton Woods. So it is also called as Bretton Woods Conference. And because of this Bretton Woods Conference, three things were created, and those are IBRD. IBRD is also, we can say it as World Bank. In that time it is called as IBRD. Then we have IMF, International Monetary Fund, and GATT. GATT is not an organization, but it is an agreement. It is just an agreement or a forum. It is not an international organization. So because of this Bretton Woods Conference, three things were established, and these are the three. Why this Bretton Woods Conference actually happened is, it happened after the end of the World War. After the end of the Second World War, there are many things which happened in world. Because of the World War, many people suffered, and it is said that around 1/3 of the population is reduced. It is said that 1/3 of the population in the world is reduced by the Second World War, and there is no peace in the world because of the Second World War. So to stop the Third World War and other things relating to World War, what our world thought is, what the major powers thought is, they thought of creating an international organization to bring peace in the country. So they thought this international organization which is relating to economy, if the economy is boosted, if the country is well developed, then they won't fight, right? So they thought in this manner, and they thought that good trade will be a solution. A good trade will be a solution for this problems, and they thought of creating international organization, and because of this only we have these three organizations which was created as a result of this Bretton Woods Conference. And in this Bretton Woods Conference, around 44 nations will be participating, and the major countries which participated include USA, UK, everyone will participate in this Bretton Woods Conference. So Bretton Woods Conference is held in USA. Bretton Woods is a place in USA. Then, as a result of this Bretton Woods Conference, these three things were created. First, let us start with World Bank. World Bank was established in 1945. In 1945, World Bank was established, and its headquarters is in Washington. World Bank's headquarters is in Washington. While it was created in 1945, it has two institutions under it, and those are IBRD and IDA. IBRD and IDA are the only two institutions which are under the World Bank while it was created. But now we have 5 institutions under the World Bank, and those are IBRD, IDA, IFC, and MIGA and ICSID. These are the institutions which are under the World Bank. First, let us start with IBRD. IBRD is the one which is commonly called as World Bank. If we say World Bank, we generally mean IBRD. So IBRD, the full form is International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. You should know the basic difference between the World Bank and the IMF. World Bank is the one which give loan for the development projects. If there is a development project, you can approach the World Bank for loan. But if you want loan during a BOP crisis, if you want a loan during a crisis period, during a financial crisis period, then you should approach IMF. So IMF will give loan during BOP crisis, whereas World Bank give loan during the times of developmental projects. If you are going to implement a developmental project or infrastructure development, during that period you can approach the World Bank. This is the basic difference between World Bank and IMF. So first, World Bank. So IBRD full form is International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. It is the one which is commonly called as World Bank, and it gives a loan. It gives developmental loan with the interest. It gives developmental loan with interest, which means that it gives loan with the interest for the developmental projects. Example, say dam building, metro, railway project or something. For developmental project, it gives loan. IBRD. Then we have IDA. IDA is International Development Association. International Development Association also provides loan, but it provides loan to the poorest nations. It provides loan to the poorest nations, and it provides free long-term loans. Note, it provides free long-term loans. which means that it provides loan without interest for for poorest nations. So IBRD provides loan for the development projects, whereas IDA provides loan to the poorest nation with with no interest or with free interest. So this is the difference between IBRD and IDA. Then we have IFC. IFC is called as International Finance Corporation. It is the private wing of World Bank. It is the private wing of World Bank, IFC, and this provides loan to private companies. And then we have MIGA. MIGA full form is Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency. Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency. It provides loan only to the insurance investor. It provides loan to insurance investor. And then we have ICSID. ICSID full form is International Center for Settlement of Investment Disputes. So ICSID is International Center for Settlement of Investment Disputes, and the most important thing relating to ICSID is India is not a signatory of ICSID. So India is a member of World Bank. Actually, India is a member of World Bank, but it is a member of, which means that India is a member of 1, 2, 3 and 4. These 4 institutions, but India is not a signatory of the 5th one, that is ICSID. What is this ICSID? ICSID is International Center for Settlement of Investment Disputes, and it is a dispute resolution body. The name itself it says International Center for Settlement of Investment Disputes. So it settles the disputes. It is a dispute resolution body, and India is not a member of this ICSID. This is an important point. India is not a signatory of ICSID. It is a dispute resolution body. And relating voting power in the World Bank. In World Bank, the voting power is based on the percentage of shareholding. The one who has highest share capital will have high voting power. So based on this, US is the one which is having the highest voting power. US has the highest voting power because it has the highest share capital. So the highest share capital is owned by US in World Bank, and therefore it has the highest voting power in World Bank. And after US, we have certain Western countries which also have high share capital in the World Bank. And then these are the things which are relating to World Bank. And one important thing which you should know about World Bank is it releases some index and reports. These index and reports can be as first, the reports and indices which are released by the World Bank. First one is World Development Report. World Development Report is published by World Bank. Second one is Ease of Doing Business. Ease of Doing Business, which is released by World Bank. Then we have Migration Report. Migration Report is by World Bank. Then we have Global Economic Prospect Index, and this is also by World Bank. So the important reports and indices which are released by World Bank are, first one is World Development Report, second one Ease of Doing Business, third one Migration Report, fourth one Global Economic Prospect Index. These are the reports which are released by World Bank. So we have seen the basics about World Bank. These are the institutions which are under World Bank, when World Bank was started, and the voting power and the reports and indices which are released by the World Bank. We have seen about World Bank. And then now we are going for IMF. IMF is International Monetary Fund. International Monetary Fund was created in 1945. It was created in 1945, and the main difference between World Bank and IMF is IMF give loans during BOP crisis. BOP is balance of payment. During balance of payment crisis, it gives loan. India has had a situation like this. It had this situation in 1991. India suffered from this situation, balance of payment crisis. We had very less forex reserve. So you should know what is forex reserve. Forex reserve is nothing but, forex means foreign exchange reserve. So foreign exchange reserve is nothing but, if you want to buy anything, then you need this forex. Say if you are going to import and export, through the export, if you are going to export, you are going to get dollars, but if you are going to import, you should give dollars to buy the product, right? You should give dollars. For this you need dollars, and these are the things which come under forex. Under forex we have certain international currencies, and we have gold, and we have SDR. SDR is nothing but the thing which IMF give. So we have SDR, which is special drawing right, which IMF give for its member countries, and these are the things which comes under this forex. So during this 1991 period, we lack forex. There is no enough forex for the import of the goods which we need. So we approached IMF and we asked for loan to IMF. IMF will help during BOP crisis, as what I have already said. So it helped us during this 1991 period, but it laid a condition, and that condition is LPG liberalization, privatization, globalization. It said us to open up our economy. Before that, before 1991, our economy is more closed, and globalization, we are not completely into globalization. So IMF suggested LPG policy. It is also called as Ram Manmohan policy or a new industrialization policy. This LPG is liberalization, privatization, globalization, which is said by IMF while we approached them during the 1991 period, during the BOP crisis which we had in that period. So this is the basic thing which is relating to IMF and India. So let us see the basics of IMF. It was established in 1945 and the headquarters is in Washington. For World Bank also the headquarters is in Washington. And relating IMF, it gives a money called as SDR. SDR is like a money. It is like a money. It is not money because you can't get something using this SDR. SDR means special drawing right. The right which IMF gives for its member countries and certain other people are called as SDR, special drawing right. You can convert this SDR into other currencies like dollar and other things. By using this SDR, you can get other currencies like dollar and certain other currencies you can get. That is the advantages of SDR. So while we approached IMF, India approached IMF in 1991, they gave SDR and using this we got dollars and we escaped from that crisis. So SDR is special drawing right. It is neither a money nor a claim and it is not based on the demand and supply. Generally a currency will be based on the demand supply. The currency's value will change, but it is not based on the demand and supply and all that. The currency's value will be determined by certain currencies, euro, dollar, euro, yen, renminbi. There are certain currencies which are kept in a basket, and based on this basket of currencies only SDR value is determined. And if you approach for a loan in IMF, they will give SDR only. And we have reverse trench position in IMF. Reverse trench position is nothing but the shareholding. Say if you are holding certain percentage of share, say 20%, then it is called as reverse trench position. Based on the share only, they say reserve trench position. So US is the one which has the highest percentage of share in IMF. So in World Bank also US is the one which is having highest percentage of share. In IMF also US is the one which is having highest percentage of share, which means that reserve trench position is also high for USA. So based on the share, based on the amount of shareholding, based on the amount of reverse trench position a country is holding only, they give voting power. So the voting power is based on the share which one who is holding or the reserve trench position which one is having. So these are the basic things which are relating to IMF. 16.5% is the voting power. 16.5% is the share or the highest voting power of the US. USA has 16.5% as the voting power, whereas India have around 2%. India have approximately 2.6% voting power in the IMF. So these are the things which are relating to IMF. And the third most important thing is WTO. WTO is the most important thing while we are talking about international organization. IMF is also important. Relating IMF, you should know about SDR because we approached in 1991. So SDR is important, and you should know what are the things which come under Forex Reserve. Relating Forex Reserve, we can see it in our next video, next or the upcoming videos. We can see in foreign trade. While you are discussing foreign trade, we can discuss about what are the things which come under Forex Reserve. We have SDR, reserve trench position, gold, currencies, other foreign currencies, especially dollar, and those things come under Forex Reserve. Let us discuss those things in our foreign trade topic. So those are the things which are important in IMF. Then let us go to WTO. WTO was actually proposed during this Britain conference itself. WTO was proposed, but it was proposed as ITO, International Trade Organization, but America, US did not accept to this. US didn't accept to this ITO. Therefore, it came as an agreement. So there is an idea of creating it as an organization, but US didn't accept to it. Therefore, it came as an agreement called as GATT. GATT. It came as a GATT. GATT is the WTO is the successor of GATT. So this GATT, it is just an agreement. It is a forum for an international trade, and the full form is General Agreement on Tariff and Trade. It came into force in 1947. It came into force in 1947, and WTO, it was established in 1995. WTO was established in 1995 as an organization, but before that there is a forum for international trade, and it is called as GATT, General Agreement on Tariff and Trade, which was established in 1947. And there are many rounds of discussion, rounds of negotiation which was there during GATT period. There was many rounds of negotiations, and the last round of negotiation is called as Uruguay round. The last round of negotiation is called as Uruguay round. So WTO 1995 established GATT, which was a forum for international trade, which was made in 1947. There are many rounds of negotiations under GATT, and the last round of negotiation is called as Uruguay round. Under Uruguay round, we included the service trade, we included IPR, intellectual property right, textiles, agri, and all other things in its negotiation. And this last round, Uruguay round, has established WTO. The establishment of WTO is because of this Uruguay round, in which there is a discussion for creation of an international organization for trade, and WTO was established as a result of its conclusion. As a result of Uruguay round conclusion, WTO was established, and it was established in 1995, January 1. And then we have principles of WTO. The main principles of WTO is two. One is MFN and another one is NT. MFN is nothing but most favored nation, whereas NT is national treatment. First, MFN is most favored nation, means if you are showing a favor for certain countries, say India is having a friendly relation with Japan, then India is giving a tax reduction of 5%, means then this India should give tax reduction to all other, it should give tax reduction to all other countries. That is MFN. So example, we can say if India and Japan are friends, and if India is giving tax reduction for cell phone and other electronic products to Japan as 5%, then the same reduction should be given to all other countries. All other countries should be treated equally, and that is called as most favored nation. Treating all nations equally in export and import of goods and services, that is most favored nation. And then we have national treatment. National treatment is nothing but we have imported rice. We have imported, say, rice, and this imported rice should be treated equally with the domestic rice. So the imported goods and services should be treated in equal with the domestic goods and services. Treating equally the goods is called as national treatment. So treating the imported as well as the domestic goods and services equally, that is national treatment. These are the two main principles of WTO. Then we have the structure of WTO. The things which are under WTO are under World Bank. We have seen 5 institutions, right? Likewise, under WTO we have certain things. Let us discuss those things. First one is we have Ministerial Conference. Ministerial Conference is under WTO. Ministerial Conference is the top level decision making body. It is the top level decision making body. It is the top level decision making body, and it meets once in 2 years. It meets once in 2 years, and it is composed of trade or commerce ministers, trade or commerce ministers, or any other name in which they call in each member countries. So those ministers form this ministerial conference, and it will meet once in 2 years. And it is the top level decision making body. And then we have General Council. General Council meet many times in a year. It meet many times in a year. General Council will act as DSB as well as TPRB. DSB is nothing but dispute settlement body, whereas TPRB means trade policy review body. It will act as DSB as well as TPRB. This General Council, it will function under the Ministerial Conference. It will function under the Ministerial Conference, and it meets many times in a year, and it will act as a dispute settlement body as well as trade policy review body. First, dispute settlement body means if there is a dispute between 2 member countries, it will resolve the problem between the 2 member countries. It will act as a court, like a court. It will discuss the issue between the 2 member countries, and it will try to solve it. There are many cases which India is having in WTO. In WTO we have many cases. Example, we can say relating mangoes. I think Malgova mangoes. I am not sure about the mango variety. Relating mangoes, there is a case, and the foreign countries said that our mangoes are high in pesticides and fertilizers, and they banned our mango in their country. We actually export this mango to their country, but they banned our mangoes because of the high level of pesticides and fertilizers. But India took this to the WTO, and it filed a case, but India failed in it because of its high pesticide and fertilizer content. India failed. In many cases which we have filed in WTO, we fail. Because of certain things, we fail. And this is one example which India had with foreign country relating WTO cases. and then it acts as a dispute settlement body, which we have seen relating mango. Then we have trade policy review body. It reviews this WTO. This under WTO we have General Counsel, which acts as a trade policy review body. It will review the policies, trade policies adopted by the member countries. So these are the things which are relating to the General Counsel. We completed Ministerial Conference. Then we have Goods Council. This Goods Council is a council for the trade in goods. For the trade in goods, there is a council and it is called as Goods Council. It will look after the working of the GATT agreement. We have GATT agreement, right? It will look after the working of GATT agreement, and this service council is same. It is a council for the trade and services, and it will look after the GATTs. GATT is an agreement which is relating to service, whereas goods is GATT is an agreement which is relating to goods. It is relating to service, it is relating to goods. This GATT full form is General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade. And then we have TRIPS Council. This TRIPS Council will look after the issues relating to TRIPS agreement. We have TRIPS agreement. We will see all these things. We will see what is GATT, what is GATT. We will see all these things one by one. First, this TRIPS Council will look after the look after the issues relating to TRIPS agreement. So under TRIPS only we have IPR, intellectual property like patent, geographical indication. We will discuss one by one. And this is the thing relating to WTO structure, and then we have certain agreements which are signed in Uruguay round. During Uruguay round, there are around 20 agreements which are signed, and the most important agreements which are signed during this Uruguay round is these 5 are the most important agreements which are signed during the Uruguay round. First is WTO agreement. WTO agreement is the one which established the WTO itself. As a result of this Uruguay round only, WTO was established, right? So WTO agreement was signed to establish this WTO organization. First agreement. Second one is we have AOA. AOA is nothing but Agreement on Agriculture. It is an agreement on agriculture. It will call for the freeing of agricultural trade. It will have special features. There are certain features under the AOA. I thought of making this agreement on agriculture while we are discussing agriculture part 2 video, but let us merge that with this. So agreement on agriculture, under this we have 2 basic things. One is special and differential treatment. Under agreement on agriculture, we have special and differential treatment, which means that the developed countries may be treated differently. So the developing countries as well as the less developed countries can bring some can be flexible, can bring some changes, like they can be treated special. The less developed countries can be treated special compared to the top developed countries. That is special and differential treatment. And also we have another one called as special safeguard mechanism. Special safeguard mechanism is nothing but if the product is very cheap, say Chinese goods are very cheap, Chinese electronic products are very cheap, say 5,000, we are having a Chinese phone. Then Indian phone costs 10,000 rupees. So this Chinese phone, if it is so cheap in the market, then all the world electronic devices will be dominated by the Chinese goods, right? So what they can do is they can impose a special tax on this. So that is called a special safeguard mechanism. To safeguard the domestic market, we can introduce a tax, and that is called a special safeguard mechanism, and that is what we have under the agreement on agriculture. It is relating to agriculture. Note the point, it is relating to agriculture. I just said with an electronic device. It's just an example. And then after agreement on agriculture, after this special safeguard mechanism, there are certain main components under AOA. Under AOA, we have certain main components, and those are, first one is market access, second one is domestic subsidies. Domestic subsidies. Third one is export subsidies. These are the three things which are under the AOA. First one is market access. Under market access, we have 2 provisions. One is tarification or tariff reduction. Tarification is nothing but converting the non-tariff barriers into tariff barriers to ensure the same level of production is called as tarification, whereas tariff reduction is reducing the tax value is called as tariff reduction. And there are values actually, and those values are not really important. And they say that in tariff reduction, they say that 36% of tariff reduction should be done by the developed nations, whereas 24% of tariff reduction should be done by the developing countries. And they give a time period also. For developed nations, it is 6 years, and for developing nations, it is 10 years. And for least developed countries, this market access, under market access, we have tariff reduction, right? For under tariff reduction for least developed countries, they have exemptions. There is no commitment under tariff reduction for the least developed countries. And then we have domestic subsidies. Domestic subsidies, we also have another one thing under the market access, and that is minimum market access. Minimum market access is nothing but if in a market 100 products or domestic products, say it should be replaced by 95 products. 95 products should be domestic products, and 5% of the products should be imported goods. The domestic market should contain at least 5% of the imported goods, and that is minimum market access. And for this also, least developed countries are exempted. That is minimum market access, and the limit they have given is 2000. At least 5% of the imported, it is relating to agriculture. Note all these things which I am talking now is relating to agriculture. Relating agreement on agriculture only, we have three components. One is market access. Under market access only, we are discussing the tarification, tariff reduction, and the third one is minimum market access. So it is relating to agricultural products. So at least 5% of the imported agricultural products in the domestic consumption. It should be in the domestic consumption by 2000 in the developed countries, and by 2004 in the developing countries. They will give some exemption, that is called a special and differential treatment. There will be differential treatment between the developed countries as well as developing countries in agreement on agriculture. That is an important point. This is minimum market access. And after this we have domestic subsidies. Domestic subsidies, we have three types of subsidies. Generally we say three, or we can say it as four. One is we have amber box subsidies, then we have blue box subsidies, and then we have green box subsidies, and then we have special and differential treatment box subsidies, S&D subsidies. So these are the four types of subsidies. First one is amber box subsidies, blue box, green box, and S&D subsidies. These are the subsidies which are going to see, which we are going to see under the domestic subsidies. First, let us start with amber box subsidies. So amber box subsidies, these are the subsidies which distort the international trade. Amber box subsidies are the subsidies that distort the international trade, and because of this amber box subsidies, the price of the product will be reduced because of this amber box subsidies. And to calculate this amber box subsidies, there is a thing called as AMS, aggregate measurement of support. AMS is aggregate measurement of support. Under amber box subsidies, we calculate the subsidies. Under this, they take two things. One is product specific subsidies, another one is non-product specific subsidies. Product specific subsidies are subsidies which are given for a specific product. Example, we can say for rice, for cotton. For product specific, they may give subsidies, that is product specific subsidies. And for non-product specific subsidies, we can say example, fertilizer subsidies. Fertilizer subsidies are the subsidies which are given that are not product specific, but still these subsidies can reduce the price of the particular agricultural product. These are the two types of subsidies. So they take, while calculating this AMS, aggregate measurement of support, we take both these things and we calculate. And while calculating this, if the subsidy is given as below the de minimis level, it is not calculated, it is not added. So the subsidies that they give is below de minimis level, it is not added. De minimis level is nothing but the level which is prescribed by, the minimum level which is prescribed on the agreement on agriculture is called as de minimis level. If the subsidies is above de minimis level only, we calculate it on AMF. And there are also certain percentage which is said as de minimis level. And for calculating all these things, the base year which they have taken is 1986 to 88 is taken as the base year while calculating this amber box subsidies. These are the subsidies which distort the international trade. Apart from amber box subsidies, there are certain subsidies which do not disturb the international trade. These are the subsidies which are not taken while calculating the AMS, aggregate measurement support. While calculating AMS, we do not take certain subsidies, and those are other three. One is green box subsidies, another one is blue box subsidies, and another one is S&D box subsidies. These are the subsidies which do not add while calculating the aggregate measurement support. First one is green box subsidies. Green box subsidies will not distort the international trade, or it will distort the international trade very minimally. And example we can say the research and training programs which we have. Okay. Under green box subsidies, we have research and training programs, pest control programs, and government will fund for training the farmers and all those things. For training farmers, by training the farmers, the price of the products will not get affected, right? So green box subsidies is okay. Then it will not disturb the international trade, or it will distort very minimally. And then we have blue box subsidies. Blue box subsidies will give subsidy for the control of production. Say if a farm is producing 100 tons of something, and they will say the subsidies will be given only for those who are producing 90 tons. So what the farmer will do is he will voluntarily reduce his production. So for controlling the production, they give subsidies, and that is called as blue box subsidies. And then we have S&D. S&D is special and differential treatment box subsidies. This will be given only for the upliftment of poor and for rural development. The subsidy is given, and that is called as S&D. So it is not available to the developed countries. It is available only to the poor countries, and for the rural development and upliftment of poor, a subsidy is given, that is S&D, special and differential treatment subsidies. These are the subsidies which are not calculated while calculating aggregate measurement support. And then we have TRIPS agreement. TRIPS agreement is trade related intellectual property right. Trade related intellectual property rights. So under TRIPS agreement, we have IPR, intellectual property right. Under this we have many things, copyright, trademark, geographical indication, industrial design, patent. Under patent we have two types of patent. One is product patent, another one is process patent. And then we have topographical design and trade secret. These things we can discuss in a separate video. These are the things which come under manufacturing and service sector. Under manufacturing and service unit, we will be discussing about these things. So these things are under the TRIPS agreement. That is what you should note. And then we have another one agreement called as TRIMS. TRIMS is nothing but trade related aspects of investment measures. Here TRIPS is trade related intellectual property rights, whereas TRIMS is trade related aspects of investment measures, in which they promote the investment and equality among the countries in the relation in foreign investment. In foreign investment, they promote equality among the countries, and they promote investment. That is a TRIMS agreement, and they are against under TRIMS agreement. They are against. There are certain things which certain countries say, like employment only to the local people. So those things are against the TRIMS agreement. And then we have GATS. GATS is nothing but a general agreement on trade in services. GATS is general agreement on trade in services. It is for the liberalization of trade in services. It talks about the service sector, and generally GATT agreement will talk about the goods sector. It talks about the service sector. So it is a counterpart of GATT which covers the merchandise trade, and under this GATT they divide the service into four sectors. First one is cross-border supply, which means e-media. Through e-media we do BPO and banking services, right, which comes under mode 1. Under mode 2 we have consumption abroad, example studying abroad and medical expenses abroad, and foreign tour comes under the second mode. And third mode we have commercial presence. Commercial presence is nothing but establishing a subsidiary company or establishing a foreign company. Is called as it comes under mode 3. And under mode 4 we have movement of natural persons. A person going and settling in a foreign country comes under mode 4. Example, engineer, lawyer or doctor settling in a foreign country. His physical presence will be there in a foreign country. That comes under mode 4. These are the 4 modes of services which comes under the GATS agreement. These are the things which are relating to international organizations. So subscribe to My Lemonade IAS Academy. Thank you.